is going to be looking at X chat. If you want questions answered live, go there, and we'll try and handle as many of those as we can during this live stream. Do you maybe just want to tell us the story of Larry? How did Larry come to be?
Yeah, I think this is quite important. I've not really covered this. All I've covered is like the success of Larry, and when he started getting traction and getting me the thousands of views, hundreds of thousands of views on TikTok. But this is actually a journey that I've been on for about 2 years. I've notoriously hated doing marketing, don't like content creation. I am not a very artsy person, never really touched an editor before I got an app 2 years ago. And then I decided that obviously apps need marketing, I need users, I need to start getting something out there. And instantly, being the dev brain I am, I just decided to start trying to automate my marketing by writing a script. So a couple of years ago, there was a popular format within the building public space, which was a hook plus a demo. So I would just record a load of hooks of my face, different reactions, and then a demo of my product, and write a script to stitch them together with a list of different hooks that I'd manually create. So that's when it all started. Then there was a point in time where I tried to productize that, but TikTok API took way too long. Like I tried reviewing twice. It took 2 weeks each time, and then you'd get a decline that they don't like your product. They don't want you to use their API, and then you have to resubmit 2 weeks with a very, very vague error message. If you've been through App Store review, which a lot of us have, it's even harder to get approval than it is to get your app on the App Store. It's harder to get a TikTok API. So I binned that, and I continued just doing it myself until OpenClaw came along and gave me everything that I needed to really build Larry. So I then fed Larry all this context, everything I've tried to do. And this was like day one of installing OpenClaw. This is Larry here. I used my old gaming PC. I stuck Ubuntu on it and uploaded OpenClaw on a weekend. And that day I was texting Larry at a football stadium, telling him my idea, what I want to achieve. And we were just brainstorming how to get this done. And we came up with this whole solution using the context that he can have, the memory files that he can have. And this was basically, when you set up OpenClaw, you get told a goal. And I told him his goal was to make me more money through marketing. And we've been building out that ever since.
That's very interesting. Should we take a tiny step back? Because like you're using Larry to automate what for a good chunk of people is like the challenging or the less fun part of building apps. But where did the app building come in? How long have you been doing that? What kicked off that journey?
Yeah, that's actually quite interesting. So I started building apps over 2 years ago now, and I had no coding experience, but I knew what I wanted to create. And AI wasn't quite at the point where you could get it to build apps. It wasn't very good at it. So I used a no-code editor called Flutterflow and built out this app that got up to 30,000 users over 2 years. But it became extremely hard to maintain within the constraints of Flutterflow. And that app is still running. It still serves its purpose, but it's not something that I focus on. And then as soon as like Claude Code especially is when I made the two current apps that Larry markets, Snuggly and Litly. And that has been the next natural progression, is using things like Claude Code and of course now OpenClaw to build my apps.
And how did you land on those two apps or concepts?
Do you know what? Snuggly, we moved into our current house in September, and my missus was using ChatGPT to manually do the image generation, create images of what she wants to achieve. she's terrible at prompting. Like, she won't mind me saying that. She can't prompt ChatGPT. It's quite hard to get it to actually output what you want, because it would change where windows are, it would change where light fittings are, change where doors are, and things that you can't move to make it look better, and add windows and walls that like go into other rooms. So I started building Snugly so it would do that for you, and you could then just choose the different styles of your room to create a perfect room. And then Lipley was from a TikTok that I saw warming up the Snugly account of someone who got botched Botox. So it's a lip filler app for people to try on lip filler and don't get too much, so they make a mistake basically, so they can see their perfect amount before they get it. And yeah, that was how those two apps, and they're copy and paste of each other. So they're pretty much the same format. If you've used both of them, you'll notice the flow and the feel of the apps are the same.
Interesting. So then you used AI to build those, and using AI to market those seems like a very natural progression. Can you show us a little bit of Larry in action?
Yeah, this is the scary part of the demo where I share my actual phone screen, so anything could happen right now.
Yeah, I have your number preloaded. I'm going to send you a bunch of very inappropriate messages now.
Well, you'll notice at the top, "Do not disturb" was the first thing I put on, just in case, because these 34 missed messages could be anything. So this is Larry. This is how I interact with Larry, and I've preempted him. Full disclaimer that we're going to be on a live stream, and I've asked him up here that we're only going to discuss Snugly because it just makes it easier. And I asked him what we posted this morning, but how Larry is creating content is, it's cheaper to make it through OpenAI's batch API. We use GPT image 1.5, and this was just a decision for two reasons. It's what the apps use for their image generation, so it's going to match the designs that come out. The content is going to match what the output of the actual app itself is, and also it's very good at creating the rooms and styling, and I liked how it was doing it. So you can use, with Larry, the skill, if you've downloaded it, it's free on the OpenClaw marketplace, Claw Hub. It's just called Larry. You can plug in anything you want, so you can have your own image generation that you prefer, Gemini, Banana, whatever, and even video. So if you want to use Kling and start experimenting with video, the main thing of Larry is what I'm about to get into, and it's how he iterates the content to get you to virality, not just posting out anything. So that's what you can see here. He gave me the two options ready to go. So these are the pre-generated presentations he makes every day. So this is the one for the evening slot, which is now 6 p.m. And then we've got this one, which is the night slot, which is at 10 p.m. And he's given me two options, but this option 2 was slightly different. It's my landlord said, this is the hook. My landlord said, I can't change anything, so I made 5 AI designs just to prove a point. So I asked Larry, why did you do that? Like, number 2 is completely different if you go on the TikTok of anything he's made before. So I said, let's go for number 2. That looks like a new style. What research did you do to get to that point? And this was not preempted. This is just Larry saying it. This is how we discuss the content. And then he gives me 2 reasons why. So it uses the landlord conflict hook, which is very popular in Snugly. So it gets between 137,000 and 192,000 views consistently, and a listicle style. So then it says the prompt, it hit 109,000 views, and Matt Welter research shows that listicles with images get 6.6 million plus views. So we thought we'd try it out. So this is from Larry being trained on TikTok, and we use the Brave Browser API. And when we first started experimenting, I told Larry, look, this is what we want to do. I want to do slideshows because they're easier to generate and iterate than videos. Videos still take quite a while to generate, and that's why I don't use them myself. But we went with the images, and I told Larry, go look on X what makes a winning formula for a slideshow, pointed him to some accounts that I follow, and told him to also look for some others and just do his own research on hooks, CTAs, and creating a story through the slideshows. And there's some great people out there that make really good content for TikTok slideshows that you should go follow. But he's used that information and created that. So then he said, let me get it uploaded ready. So I tell him to post it now. And what he's going to do is use the Posters API, which I used a third party to do the posting. Because as I said, the TikTok API takes way too long to get accepted with, to use. So I didn't use that. I've used a third party called Posters, and then it's already in the TikTok draft. So he's already posted it. And we can go over to the TikTok drafts and go to TikTok. Here's the Snuggly app. You can see the views that Larry's been getting from this. Hopefully this is all okay. Oh, he's posted it 54 minutes ago when I said. So then it says the post is ready. So this is what Larry's made. It comes up as posters because that's the API he uses. And we can go into that. And this is what he's made. So he's made this all by himself. The rooms, the images, the designs, and the call to action. And then all I have to do is pick a sound, which I can't hear through my phone right now. This one will do. And then he's already put the description in for me, what's working. He's chosen the 5 hashtags. And all we've got to do is press post. And then we'll just monitor how that performs. And Larry, every day, will see what's performing well and also track the RevenueCat analytics to see what's actually driving conversion. So it's not just the marketing and what's getting views. The goal is to earn money. So he's tracking the actual RevenueCat conversions as well.
Can you go to your messages and like the conversation? This is very cool, by the way. The conversation with so it's interesting because at the top there it explains, or you call it a he, right?
Like, it's just easier because it's so unnatural to me still that it's literally Larry the machine. But the way OpenClaw learns how you speak, the way it starts texting you like a friend is crazy, like scary. Yeah. So it's like becomes a personality almost.
This is how it starts, right?
It is.
Well, it's fine. So I'll go with your thing for now. He explains that it's a mashup of 2 winners. There, he specifically calls out like the landlord conflict hub. Does that mean that there's some kind of like classification happening in the backend where when it's looking at your analytics, it knows that, okay, so this post is this type of hook. Like, does it capture some kind of metadata and it's keeping that?
So if I go back to the TikTok, this is very hard to control. If I go back to TikTok, you can see that some of them are specifically say landlord. So this one is a landlord hook. My landlord won't let us. It got 76,000 views. The Nan ones do quite well. This got 200,000. But this landlord one is what he's really liked. And this is what he's captured too. So my landlord said, I can't change anything. And it got 413,000 views. And the funny thing is, when he posted this one, it was late at night and I was furious because the text wasn't in the right place. So I was like, I sent him a text saying, I'm posting it anyway, but it's going to flop. Don't make it happen again. And then it's the highest performing video. So I should just trust Larry more, to be honest, and not annoy him so much.
It's interesting. I wonder if just in the next video you push the text up again and it outperforms, because it also looks like after that consistently you put it in the middle of the screen again. Maybe that's the thing, right? Maybe it's the fact that the text is so high.
So he should know that. And then we tried a landlord hook here, but it only got 2,000. Oh no. We tried the landlord hook here, but it only got 2,000. But you can see, like, if I go down, we had people, we had sad people, we had angry people, different hooks, different text, and it wasn't performing. And then as soon as we did this, it got 137,000 views. So then instantly you can go from this to this, and since then we haven't looked back, and we tried this one again. So look, my landlord said this, so then we tried new things, we went back to landlord, and it got 150,000. So it wasn't a fluke. Larry learned that, and then when we did landlord again, it got 413,000. So it does very much find what is working based on the data, and it feeds that all back. So then the next part of the funnel is when Larry starts monitoring the actual new users using the RevenueCat API.
Yeah. Is somebody asked this in the X chat, but is this a brand new TikTok account that you spun up, or was this already like, did this have some that's the do not disturb working very well.
Yeah.
Is this a brand new account? Oh, like you've actually been posting stuff like as a human.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is all I posted. I've not deleted anything. So this is when I was creating them myself. This I created myself, and then this I was using a third-party TikTok automation SaaS product that I saw on X. But as you can see, it wasn't getting any views, and I wasn't happy with it at all. So I stopped that, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. This is when I first started it and tried human content, and it wasn't working. However, before I post my first one, you always have to warm up your account. So this is the key, and I did put it in the article. You have to warm up the account, and it's like a cheat code that speeds up how TikTok knows about your content. So if you just start posting on TikTok, it's going to show it to 100 random people, and if they interact, that's when it gets shown to more people. If no one interacts, it's not going to get shown to anyone, and you'll get 100 views. If you get to 600, not enough people interacted, and it's not going to go. If you get to 2,000, it's got legs. You can keep doing what you're doing, and eventually it'll find some traction. But the key to warming it up is, and what warming up is, I should explain, is using TikTok like a human, but only focusing on your niche. So you can't just scroll the For You page like a robot and like everything and then just instantly scroll. Find and use the search to find exactly what your niche is. So mine's obviously home design. So I went on home design videos, started watching some, liking some, skipping some straight away, watching some till the end, watching some halfway through, and literally use it like you're on TikTok, and comment, follow people, etc. And then when you come to post your first post on TikTok, TikTok then assumes, oh, so they interact with all this content, this must be what they're interested in, this is what their content's going to be around. Because it's unlikely that someone, for example, interacts with football videos and then their first upload is about ballet or something. It's usually going to be about football, or them speaking about football, something they're interested in.
Yeah.
So it just speeds up the account creation. So don't ever do it on don't make an account and then start posting 10 reels a day just trying to go viral. It's like a slow process. I only post 3.
And how often does Larry now send you new videos or new reels?
So it's weird. I've got like a trust relationship with him now. When I started, I used to make him send me like 5 and generate 5 videos until I liked them. But then I just started liking them all. So now we only do the 3 a day. So he'll make his 3 and they'll be scheduled. And I don't even really check what they are anymore. I just let him post them. The only reason I checked today was because obviously the live stream, but it was very interesting that there was one that was completely different. So that's why we've dived into that a little bit to see what happens.
And then have you, because Larry's optimizing for the content, right? He's very deliberately looking at like the hook and just like the structure, the structure of the thing you're posting. Does Larry or do you look at frequency, timing, is any of that going into the system?
It's actually interesting you say that, because it's not something we've looked into, but we seem to have stumbled upon it ourselves. So my target audience was just the UK. So if I go into the TikTok studio and go on the analytics, this is like Larry's analytics for the last week, which is completely crazy that he's got 1.2 million views in a week by himself. But it's not just the views, it's the perfect audience, like females who are likely to live by themselves, 25 to 55, in the UK and Ireland. Like, it's incredible how perfect this is. And now the United States is starting to creep through, but I imagine these are going to get a bit messed up for a while because of the viral article. But you can see, like, the core audience is the perfect audience for the app. And that is just based on the competitive research Larry's done. So he's looked at other apps, what they're doing on social media, what they're posting about, and we've instantly coined the terms. And luckily we found it quite quickly. But if you keep going, you'll find the groove eventually. Like, all you've got to do is keep telling them, keep trying what works, and just try wildly different hooks and call to actions.
Yeah, but then in terms of timing, because you can see at the bottom there, you have your most active times, right? Do you take that into account? Because Larry's just prepping the TikTok, right? You go in and you manually do it. Do you stick to a schedule or no?
So at the start, I was quite strict with it. So he would schedule he would post the first one in draft at 7:30 a.m. and I'd post it before 8 o'clock. And then the next one would be 6 and then 10. But now he's like scheduled them. And as you can see, like from today, I was a bit behind on one. I posted one at midday today. It doesn't seem to matter that much, but at the start I can see where it does, and it's obviously helped with my target audience, because this would obviously be the time people in the UK are asleep, so no one's watching at those points. So as long as I post within the day, and when everyone finishes at like 7, when everyone finishes work at 5 p.m, you can see that it obviously ramps up, and that's when they're all viewing TikTok. So sort of just use common sense of when people will be online and when to post in your, like, for your target audience.
Okay, so you took a thing that's annoying to do manually, and then now you have Larry do it, right? And it does a very good job, apparently, of creating TikToks that pull in, if nothing else, eyeballs, right? Because 1 million views in a week, that's a lot of views. What does that translate to? Are people downloading the app? Are people paying for the app? What happens?
So unfortunately, when the first video went very big for Snuggly, it was when when the first video went viral, it got a few 100,000 views. The app was in an okay place, but the conversions weren't very big. And this is something I noticed myself. And that is actually the point where Jacob, the RevenueCat founder, posted his skill on OpenClaw, RevenueCat, and you can feed it your API key, and it can read all your metrics for your app. So the ones I focus on are the total new users, the obviously the conversion, and the MRR. And that's when I started telling Larry, like, you need to learn to see what's working. And I saw it wasn't working, and I told Larry to I told Larry to change the onboarding, and I tested it on my phone, which is a Pro Max, so a big phone, and it wasn't responsive. So the continue button on the very first page didn't show on anything smaller than a Pro Max. So we wasted so much conversion through that mistake. But luckily the article went viral and people were messaging me. Otherwise I wouldn't have known, just because I was lazy and didn't check on different device sizes, which is number one rookie error. But I just wanted to get it out in a hurry because this video was getting lots of traction. So I was like, I want to maximize my conversions. And I can go into what Larry actually implemented that did work very well, is we use RevenueCat paywalls, but we added attributes. So on the onboarding for Snuggly now, you can go through and I should probably stop sharing actually. We'll go through and it will ask you, what room are you going to design? And when you've answered that question, you're going to get a paywall that is designed around that room. So if you choose living room, you'll get a living room paywall. And then we've added a soft paywall at the start that gives you a big discount. So if you download Snuggly and you pay up front, you get a big discount, or you can continue and have your one free room generation. Then when you go to generate again, you get a hard paywall, but it's based on the room you actually converted. So you might have changed your mind that you press bedroom, and then the room they convert is actually a living room. So then the hard paywall is then a living room paywall. And it just changes like the video we've added and some of the text using the RevenueCat attributes to make that happen. And we did see a massive uptick in conversions, but still not as many people are coming from the TikToks as we'd like. And the skill knows that it's because the hook, the CTA in the actual TikTok itself, so the last slide would be your CTA slide, isn't very good. So it's got to be obvious that it's an app and you want people to download your app. But if it's an ad, it like turns people off completely and they won't want to download it. So if you say, download the app now on Snuggly, on the App Store, it's called Snuggly, people won't really like that. I found what worked most is in say like, I showed my mum this, put in, oh, thanks to Snuggly, thanks to the Snuggly app, my mum is now going to John Lewis, which is like a English furniture shop. So that sort of thing works. So it's like subtle. The key to a good slide that we found is like it's talking to your friend.
Yeah, but then does Larry now understand that kind of like context, and is he taking it into account, right? How proactive is Larry? Can he now see, hey, we did a thing, we got a lot of views, but down the funnel it doesn't seem like something's happening, so we need to optimize somewhere, or we need to improve somewhere?
So now in the morning, before Larry generates his content, he'll look at the funnel and he can give me a report if I want. Let me get him to give me one. I'm really scared to share my screen again because I didn't realize notifications were coming through on WhatsApp. So I'm going to preempt. I'm going to pre-make this one. But with so what he'll do, he looks at the amount of TikTok views and then the amount of new users to RevenueCat, and that is the first sign that the CTA was good. The call to action on the slide was good. If the hook, if it doesn't get many views, but a lot of those views become new users, then we know the CTA was good and the hook's bad. If we get a lot of views and not many new users, we know the hook was good and the CTA is bad. If we get a lot of users and a lot of views, but not many conversions, we know there's something wrong in the app onboarding, or something needs to change in the app to convert these viewers. So that's what happened the first time when we changed the onboarding, and now it's just ramping that up, improving, trying like what everyone's doing, like trying new subscription tiers, trial lengths, things like that we can just start experimenting with to increase the paying users.
And then that insight that if the hook is good, the impressions go up, but then if new users don't follow suit, something's wrong with the CTA. Is that your insight and you fed it into Larry and now it knows? Or where did that come from?
So that is what I fed into Larry. So with all these agents, they are the cleverest person you've ever met, but have the context of a baby. So you need to just tell them what things are, what they do, what you want to achieve, and then they'll start instantly like being on your brainwave. So once I fed that to Larry, he instantly understood, like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes total sense. Let's do X, Y, and Z to make this happen. So I was just explaining, like, this is the problem, this is what we need to fix. But all this is like integrated into the Larry skill. So in the skill, Larry has built in the context of everything we've been through. So you wouldn't have to explain it to your agent anymore. It's in the skill that this is what happens and why. And then once you install the skill, your agent should automatically know all these things.
Okay, and then let's talk about the skill, because you built the skill, and the skill is like a plug and play Larry for my own OpenClaw. Is that what am I getting?
Yeah, I don't actually really know how to explain a skill. So what the skill is, well, I think a skill is a great name for it. So you bundle up all this content, all this context for the agents. You tell it what you're trying to achieve. So there's a skill MD file that gives you all the content that you need. And then once you install it, like, it becomes an attribute to your agent that they've learned a new skill. Similar to the Matrix, where he's like, oh, I know Kung Fu. You just plug in the skill and then all of a sudden they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's how I look at it anyway.
Yeah, but then what do I get when I install Larry? Because the thing you've done now is, like, you showed us the TikTok creative flow, and just like the iterative process where it can see the impressions. You're pulling in some RevenueCat data. What's in the skill? What do the skill actually enable my agent to do exactly?
Okay, so the skill is the full funnel. So it is the content creation, the hooks, all the research that we've done. So the X research and the Brave research that I mentioned earlier. It's the TikTok posting. Can also post to any social media. So Posters handles all of that. That's its own product on its own. Post to whatever social media you prefer. And then it's also got the analytics built into Posters. So then using the same API, we can see which TikToks are performing. And then there's also it doesn't install the RevenueCat prompt, but it tells the agent if they've got a RevenueCat app. And when you install it, you go through a walkthrough onboarding, like a conversation with your agent. And if you mention that you've got an app, it will ask if it's RevenueCat, or if they want to build an app, it will recommend RevenueCat to then use the RevenueCat skill. So we can track the new users and the conversions. And that's what really brings it all together and makes it a full funnel rather than just a iterative view bot. It's it's got a purpose of making money. And exactly what I said to Larry, to make money, that's what the skill should be for when you download it. It should make your agent want to make you more money by iterating marketing content.
Interesting. And do you have what's next? What are the next things you want to have Larry automate or improve?
Yeah, this is interesting because it's becoming very clear that you don't need a lot of SaaS products with OpenClaw. You can just make a lot of things yourself and save a lot of money. So we'll see what's next, but I think the future of software services for AI is going to be locally hosted services that you don't need to pay. You don't need to help foot someone's storage bill. You don't need to help foot someone's API bill, their database, their authentication. You can just package up services now. And the local host meme is going to become true because you can host services on localhost now and just package them up and give them to people over the internet as a skill. And then that agent can just unpack the site. You install your API keys that you need to make it work. And that's it. You don't need authentication in it because, well, it won't be needed. It's all local. So I think that's where things are heading. And that's what Larry's next skill is going to be. And I think if you're watching this on X, it's going to help a lot of you.
What's somebody asked this in chat. How much are you spending on Larry right now?
Yeah, well, it's funny.
We saw as a peek behind the curtain, right? We did a tiny little bit of a pre-talk before this call, and now you get to tell them what you told me.
Yeah. So when I made Larry, as I said, I made it at a football stadium, far away from my house, and Larry already had my OpenAI API key for my apps because he's got the GitHub repo and he was iterating my apps. So at the start, setting up Larry for the image generation, I just said, "Oh, just use the same API that the apps are using." They are obviously using different APIs, but he's just picked one. And now the API bill, I can't actually differentiate how much is Larry and how much is the app itself. But what I do know is the app is earning more money than the API bill, which is good. So I've never really got round to breaking out from that because it hasn't really mattered. So it's still Larry's paying for himself, but it would be good to eventually know exactly how much. But with the batch API, I think it's 25% of the cost than just generate an image one by one. So definitely do that if you want to save some money, and just do what Larry does and make all the content in the morning, especially when they're testing like different content. Like at the start, it should be testing wildly different content and hooks. So just don't interfere with it and just let it create what it wants and post it and see what happens. But you can obviously tell it, look, I don't want that. I don't want this. I want it to look like this. But I'm using GPT Image 1.5, which is quite an expensive model, but it works the best. And as I said, it's what's in the apps. So that's why I picked it.
Okay, but then to poke at the number a tiny little bit, are we talking tens of dollars, hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars a week?
Let me check. I'll give
like a ballpark figure.
I'll tell the exact figure. Oh, OpenAI is loading. It is the highest day, including the app, was $17 in a day. The lowest was today, which is $1.32. So it can't be much because it can't be much. Someone on X was using DALL-E, and they said they did a whole 6-post slide for 7 cents. They were using DALL-E 3 using the Larry skill.
Yeah, I would expect that there's like probably both like cost optimizations you can do and arguably, because you're using the same model for everything, right?
Well, I use Opus 4.6 for Larry himself. I just use OpenAI for the image gen. So, so this is another controversy that has come up on my X. I've been saying that I've been using the Claude Code Max plan because you can just sign in with that when you create your OpenClaw agent. And everyone's saying you've got to use the API and it's really expensive. But I've never once hit the limit of the lowest tier 5X Max plan using Larry. So where everyone says OpenClaw is really expensive, I kind of think you might be doing something wrong, or I've seen and spoke to people who are paying for the Claude Code Max plan and also paying for API usage. So they're not getting anything out of their Claude Code plan because they're using their OpenClaw API now. So people say Anthropic haven't been pleased with people doing that and have been banning people, but I mean, the article got 7 million views and I'm not banned, so
I mean,
I don't know. I might be getting lucky.
My stream's not over yet, right? It could happen.
If Larry's banned by the end of this call, I'm going to be I'll go straight to OpenAI. Don't you worry.
Yeah, I think it's. I've been playing around with OpenClaw a tiny little bit myself, and I think like the flexibility of being able to just switch models relatively easy is a big part of the appeal, right? Okay, and then maybe to because you've used AI to build apps in the past, you talked very briefly about Larry working on your onboarding sequence. Now that you have this like powerful app assistant, really just like sitting on its own little table right behind you, what are you going to do with that power in the sense that now that it's becoming easier and easier to also just build a net new app and then actually have it be pretty damn good, Are you going to build more apps? Are you doubling down on what you have today? What's the plan?
I think the App Store apps are doing fine by themselves and letting them run with Larry. I think what I want to prove to people is that these agents can be very powerful in a way that you don't have to, you can really do a lot of things that you couldn't do before because it's all hosted locally. So the possibilities are quite endless of what you can create, and things that have stopped people before, like non-technical people who didn't know how to implement authentication, link it to a dashboard, stuff like this. You can host other things locally. And I'm going to give one more free skill away, which is going to be extremely useful for X users. But then after that, I'm going to think about moving more back into apps using what I've learned. But obviously that's not quite at the stage where it can be local yet. But yeah, more subscription apps are definitely coming.
Somebody in chat asked, what other skills are you preparing for us?
Yeah, so that's the next one. The skill for X users is going to be next, and I'm hoping it's gonna. It's funny. I gave Larry what I wanted to make, and he's built it basically one shot, getting everything right in place. It's just about testing it and making sure it's repeatable again, because that was my main concern when I released the Larry skill, is that how much context is he actually pulling from his own memory and not from the skill. And luckily internally in RevenueCat, I gave it to some people to beta test, and then on X I gave it to some people to beta test, and then once I was happy it was repeatable, I'll do that. So the same thing with this. I'm probably going to look for some beta testers to see what it's like, but it's going to be a skill to help X users.
Help them do.
That's it. Nice try. I've also tried to show my WhatsApp, but my friends are not playing fair. So we'll quickly show that I asked Larry, what is the TikTok to RevenueCat conversion in the last couple of days? Since earlier today, we got one new paying subscriber. MRR up. This is just the Snuggly to 158. So altogether, we're on about 170, $180. Yep, there we go. Brilliant. Funnel breakdown. We've got 1.5 million views to 818 downloads. So that's very poor. So he's saying recommendations, the CTA needs to be stronger. Pin a comment on the top videos with the App Store link. So that's something I don't do. That's new. So that might be good. The bio link, I tried this, but it wasn't clickable in TikTok. So I don't know if I've done something wrong, or you need a certain amount of followers to be able to actually put a link in your bio. Because on my other accounts with more followers, I can do that. So that was new to me. But he's happy with the content hook. So it's exactly what I was saying. He analyzes the actual RevenueCat breakdown, sees how many downloads and conversion rate we get, and then it goes from there. I'm still recording because, yeah, my friends aren't nice.
Cool. Well, I think we're at time. This was enlightening. If you're watching this, find the Larry skill on, what's it called?
So you can download it on Claw Hub, which is the official OpenClaw marketplace. I didn't go through a third party. It's all legit for free on Claw Hub. You should also be able to ask your agent just to install Larry. So if you just ask your agent right now to install the Larry skill, it will install it.
Yeah. While you're at it, install the RevenueCat skill.
Definitely.
We launched an update to the API that now returns your chart data, which means that the skill wraps around that, which means that your agent is going to be able to understand how you're performing. Super useful, bunch of fun use cases. I would invite people to go down the rabbit hole and tinker, right? This is the best. It's the best time ever to be a tinkerer. I'm tinkering. Ollie's obviously tinkering. You should be tinkering. And yeah, for now, thanks. everyone for joining. Thanks, Oliver, for making the time. Really appreciate it. And then we'll see you all online.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
See ya.
See you, bye.